Hey there, vinyl community. So I thought I'd better do my part two of the best things that I've heard in 2023. So to make this one a little bit different, just thought I'd focus more on non-LP stuff. Although I'm probably going to get into some LPs too. I have a few singles pointed out. The background music, if you're curious. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's always been one of my favorite club tracks. So, as far as like something that I really wanted to share with people was a single that I picked up this year from one of my, at the suggestion of one of my locals, a place called Street Corner Music, and great staff, great people over there. And just out of the blue, Aaron, who works over there, mentioned this single and a little bit about the history of it. And this is really, really good. Fred Scott recorded the track. This is from back in the 70s that this came. And from what I understand, the story goes something like this. If they went into the studio, local Detroit musicians went in the studio to record something, they didn't really have a vocal for it, but they had this groovy, backing track. And they just invited some guy off the street to do the vocal. And so the song ends up having this really wild backing track, or this really funky, groovy backing track with this just over-the-top vocal that just, in some ways, it's like it almost seems like out of place, but then it fits so perfectly. It's you don't want to hear anything else but this guy singing over the top of it. It's a really, really neat recording, and they've reissued it, so it's on this little 2 Rooms label. And yeah, you can get it. I went to their website, and you can pick them up around in this area, Detroit. It's a groovy little single, man, I'll tell you. One of the best things I've heard all year. Really, really enjoyed it. And if you're inclined, go on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube, and you'll see what I mean. It's almost like it's like a track from the future, but it's not. It's got a really cool story, and I'm glad somebody saved this from history and made it available again. So there's that. Next, this was one, I think I showed the single before, but there's this great house music label that's come up. Oh, there we go. And this little 7-inch, this is Steve Crawford. And here you go. This is groovy, funky, this is deep groove, house, Detroit house music. Just hits the right tone. And yeah, this is really cool. In fact, just about everything that I've heard on this label, right there, is pretty good. They're doing these compilations of Detroit techno and house musicians, and allowing them to collaborate on things and do new things, and it's really kind of opened things up, and you can hear everything from like the 7-inch to these nice compilations that they're doing. Moody Man has participated in it, and some other really great house and techno music people from Detroit. So we're checking out. So that's really cool. And next was this one. So this one, I heard, you probably know what live stream I heard this on, but I did, and it's really good. And it's atmospheric, and think of late night loneliness has never sounded so perfect. And both tracks are great, but Lost is the lead track. Really, really cool, really groovy, and atmospheric, with a nice vocal over the top of it. But it's the instrumental bed that really got me. Check it out. Next was, they did a reissue. So when I was growing up in Detroit, there used to be this kind of, they were this heavy metal band from the area, and they were called Halloween, Detroit's Heavy Metal Horror Show. They had this album that I remember buying. I think I bought it at one of their gigs. It's in my collection. But they did a reissue of a single that came out, if I can get it out of here. And I've listened to it a couple times now. It's 2 songs. There's Trick or Treat on the A side, and then there's She's a Teaser. She's a teaser, a crowd pleaser. But this was a pretty hot band in this area for a few years there, up into maybe the 90s or so. And they never really kind of broke out of the local scene. But I'm telling you, they would play pretty like medium-sized theaters for a local band, and there would be a line around the place waiting to get in. It was a very theatric show. You know, it was kind of like, think of Metallica meets Alice Cooper. So, but not that raw and so yeah, this is available. One of my locals had it. I had when I saw the name, I was like, well, I just got to support anything trying to do a reissue on that. And yeah, this is really good. I was on the Metal Theologian did a live stream a few weeks ago, and people were just submitting albums that he may or may not have ever heard of, and I mentioned this Halloween album, and I was amazed. He got up and he went and pulled it off of his shelf, and he had it. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, nice little single, worth getting. And it's from the days, when I was in high school. Not everybody at school had long hair and a jean jacket with patches of your favorite band sewed on the back of it, and a chain wallet. And most of the kids didn't have that, and sitting in front of the school, smoking cigarettes, and it was not the norm. And it reminds me of, that it's not always easy to be independent and to be an independent thinking person. And, because there are a lot of, just because we thought we were these cool kids in the school and smoking cigarettes, well, there was a price to be paid for it. It's amazing how social institutions enforce behavior. And there were certain kids who wouldn't say hi to us in the hallway because we were from, our hair was too long, or the guys on the football team didn't like us because we whatever. And people have ways of enforcing certain social norms that get established, and you see it in any social situation. It just reminds me I just wanted to say, it's hard to be an independent thinker sometimes. And people will try to tell you who you should talk to, who you should say hello to. And then they'll try to, if you don't obey the rules, they'll try to enforce that. And maybe make you feel outside. And it's funny that as adults, we can continue that same behavior. And yet, I've seen it in the workplace when I've worked places, and I even see it on the internet, where there are people who will try to, that they're somehow they're the ones who get to tell people who they can and they cannot speak with. It's strange. Anyway, don't mean to get caught off on that. Something else that I wanted to show you guys was this. This is, I think this is a couple years old, but Christoph on my, he comments on my channel sometimes, and I know I've seen him on some live streams too, and he had recommended this record. And I listened to it a couple times, and I just really loved it. And how to describe it? It's it's jazz, has some jazz to it in its structure of the music, but it's definitely electronic and textural and glitchy and very kind of liquid beats running throughout it. Really cool record, and real surprise for me that I'd never heard of this before, and then when it was suggested to me, I was just kind of like, well, I'll give it a listen, and I listened to it, and I was like, oh my God, this is great. Christoph always has amazing suggestions, and thank you for that. And I appreciate it more than you know, and I like when people do that. I was thinking about why do these videos, and I see people clamoring for subs and everything, and well, it's nice to get subs and all that. It's the only real reason to do this is for things like this, and for things like this that you'd have never found if a friend or somebody you've gotten to know hadn't made a suggestion on something and said, hey, give this a listen to, and suddenly you're discovering music from halfway around the world. And that's the real reason, I think, to do this. And I'm glad for that, and I'm glad for those that make those suggestions and want to have a dialogue, because that's, to me, that's what it's all about. So check that out. And what else did I get recently? I guess that's about it. I wanted to just make a few things a little bit different. Here's another example of that. This is that Detroit house music label. And there's a track on here that was Stunty played that one night. It was great. And these are available all over town, and they're not expensive. Not expensive at all, and they're really good. And everyone I've managed to pick up so far has just been dynamite. So they're doing like 12 inches, they're doing compilations, they're doing 7 inches. Cool label, and cool to see them doing that. Thanks for listening to me, and I hope everyone has a great holiday, Christmas, New Year, yeah. Thanks for listening, and thanks for being independent-minded and independent thinkers. Thanks.